What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So the results of this year's Tampa Pro Men's Open Bodybuilding, along with the scorecards, they are now out. And it turns out it was only close between Jordan Hutchinson and Quinton Beastwood during the prejudging only. And even in that session, Jordan was leading by 1 point. And despite all of those genetic gifts of Quinton, the shape, the aesthetics, the flow, that superb conditioning, that final call made by the judges here, that just proves that size will always rule in the men's open bodybuilding. So Quinton brought a very improved and his best package to date at this year's Tampa Pro, especially in comparison to what we saw last year in Toronto. But he still lacks that hot and dense look, especially over his chest and the shoulders area. Plus, I have to say, he can still pack on some thickness and some density all over his physique. But the biggest difference maker here, they were the back shots, and that is something we all saw coming. So Quinton was hardly posting any back shots during this entire prep. And the man just lost a lot of ground against Jordan in both the back shots. Especially the size difference top to bottom, more specifically in the lower half. That was very apparent between both these guys, as Jordan was looking absolutely jaw-dropping in both the back shots. And at the end of the day, we know it's a muscle contest. So the judges picked the winner accordingly, and I'm gonna say rightfully so. Even after the prejudging, I mentioned this, that it's gonna be a coin toss. And had Quinton won this show, no one out there would have complained. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So Jordan has emerged as one of the most improved bodybuilder from last year to this year. So a massive congratulations to him. This was his first pro win. And this moment of Jordan, right after stepping off the stage, after winning Tampa Pro, that is very precious. And for Quinton Beastwood, it's just a matter of time. And I wholeheartedly believe that he's gonna make it to this year's Olympia stage for sure. And we can assume that he might be doing this upcoming Texas Pro next, which is happening next weekend. So this was the very best Quinton has ever looked. The size that he packed on in all the right areas, the kind of conditioning that he brought, especially while coaching himself. The man looked way better than the last time he worked with a coach, and that was at the New York Pro last year with Matt Jensen. And this only gets better from this point onwards for Quinton Beastwood. So Jordan Palacios in third place, also known as Joe the Machine on IG. That was the biggest shocker of this year's Tampa Pro. So literally nobody had him in their top 6 for this show. And the man came here, beating multiple former Olympians, solely based on his jaw-dropping size and that crazy hot conditioning. I mean, his back shots were looking out of this world. So much thickness and density right there. So John Jewett came in fourth, and the man looked awesome. He came in very big, and he was also looking heavily muscled. But kind of unfortunate for him that he did not have that aesthetic look, that pretty physique, especially in this kind of lineup. And that really hurt him here, especially next to those top 2 guys here, who are also pretty massive, but at the same time very aesthetic too. So the defending champion here, John De La Rosa, he did not even make top 5. And some of us cannot make sense on why all the experts, they had him as a heavy favorite to win this show. The fact is, this wasn't the best John has ever looked. It was a very underwhelming performance by him, especially for this kind of lineup. And he has to do something about the right leg. The massive size difference there, that really hurt him. And based on this showing, this physique is gonna have a very hard time qualifying for the Olympia this year. So there were so many guys in this lineup. We had Patrick Moore, who came in 7th. And that must have been very disappointing for him, considering the fact that he just placed 2nd at the Legion Sports this year. So Amir came in 8th and Beef Stew in 9th. And we had another guy making his open debut here, switching from the 212. And that was Peng Yunlong, who came in 10th. And let's take a moment to talk about Peng Yunlong, as this was his men's open debut. So if we go to Gilgo Productions IG page and look at the engagement and the views, Peng got even more views than Quinton and Jordan. The reason, these Asian bodybuilders, they have some of the best quads on the planet. So Pink tried to come in very full, and he was the perfect definition of what being 3D really means. Now he wasn't in that same condition as some of these top guys. Otherwise, I 100% think he definitely would have placed a few spots higher. But that being said, it is still a very successful transition from the 212 into the men's open, because he was able to beat his last physique by a huge margin here. And if Pink can continue to improve his back, put on some more muscle and some mass in all the right areas, he's eventually gonna become a more formidable men's open competitor. I mean, the guy literally has the perfect quad insertions, something which is totally genetic, and that allows him to present the perfect X-frame on the stage, especially from the front. So maybe Pink is gonna hit a few more shows, as the man still has some huge margins in terms of the improvements, especially for the overall conditioning. And that is something we know he can fix in the upcoming shows with a longer diet phase. So Justin Shire placing outside of the top 10, that was the real shocking result here. He was 13th, and not even in his wildest dreams, in his worst nightmares, he would have seen that coming. And if we look at this comparison from 2023 Chicago Pro to last night's Tampa Pro, then you can see he actually brought more size, especially in the front shots. The back also looked a little bit better, but certainly not enough for the judges to even consider him for the top 10 finish. So Justin made his comeback to the stage after almost 18 months with more or less a similar back, which just goes to show us that it is very hard to overcome a genetically weak body part, especially a large muscle group like the back. And just like last year, Justin must have looked way off in terms of his overall condition for the judges to not even consider him even for the top 10 finish. But then again, this just goes to show you that the level of competition has increased tremendously since 2023 when he won Chicago Pro, and that was his pro debut. And I mean, no disrespect towards Justin here, but we have to keep in mind the competition that he beat at that show back in 2023. That was first of all John De La Rosa, who by the way was also making his comeback at that show after a few years, and Stanimal. So not a very tough competition, considering the fact that Blessing, he came in very off for that show, and same was the case with Patrick Moore too. So he was undoubtedly the most disappointing guy with the results of Tampa Pro last night. Now I am very happy that this show lived up to the hype. We saw some amazing guys in there, and I guess the only question to ask is whether you agree with Jordan Hutchinson winning this show, or did you guys had Quentin Beastwood winning Tampa Pro? So we will talk about Patrick Moore, Beef Stew and Amir in the upcoming videos.
This is my dream. I never thought I'd make it to the Olympia when I started this out. Chris has taken me from nothing, and we've made this dream happen in 6 years together, less than 6 years. Still doing Texas, signed the contract, but Tampa Pro was mine.
Forget about Rubiel Mosquera, aka Nexilla, and Michael Crizzle. We are looking at the biggest undisputed freak in the current era of the sport, and no one even comes close to the mutant in that aspect. Every physique update that he posts, it's making people believe more and more in his ability to cause the biggest upset at this year's Mr. Olympia in the top 3. And this is gonna be his first Olympia after 2 years. So this is just too much muscle to handle for some of the competitors. And we did saw a glimpse on how overwhelming the mutant Nick Walker can be, standing next to Derek Lunsford, who is a former Olympia and the reigning Arnold champion. And that happened at the Pittsburgh Pro. And by the way, Nick has been growing like a mutant since the New York Pro. And it seems like that his goal of putting another 4 to 5 pounds of muscle on his frame before the Olympia this year, that is looking very, very realistic. And maybe he might come in even heavier. And as far as the conditioning goes, the man is already looking way ahead of the schedule. And if we take a look at his physique update when he was about 10 weeks out of the Pittsburgh Pro versus now, he is looking way better this time. So these two shots, the most muscular and the side chest, they are some of the strongest poses for the mutant. Now he cannot be Derek in the overall back width, but the kind of density and the muscularity that the mutant has in that back double biceps, that is so supreme. And he also has way bigger hamstrings than Derek Lunsford. And that is that one comparison that we all want to see big time come Olympia in October. Now it is so crazy if you think about this. Out of those potential top 6, at this upcoming Mr. Olympia, Nick Walker is the odd man out. He has the least amount of aesthetics. When you compare him to the likes of Derek, Andrew, Samson or Martin and also Hadi Chopin. But despite that, his conditioning and muscularity, they can take him all the way into that top 3, maybe even higher than that. But let me know what you guys think. And also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. And smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.